What happened as you entered the real world after high school that led you down a dark path?
I going to ASU. I started school and I started learning. Everyone's going to college to party. ASU is one of the top five party schools in the nation. Again, being a BMX rider, I love entertainment, and everything in my life is entertainment. I love entertainment, and so going out to the nightclubs, getting the fake ID, drinking and doing all the stupid shit you can do. Again, the entrepreneurial mindset. I saw people doing cocaine in Scottsdale. I saw people partying. I saw people doing all that. I had connections in the South Side where I could go get that. Never once I thought I'd be selling cocaine, but I could go over there. I could buy it, double my profits, make some money, have fun, be known as the guy, have a little bit of status behind you. And this was pretty cool. It was kind of like you were a CEO. People loved you. They smiled when they saw you coming, which is what I have now. People, when they walk in my door, they see me, they smile when I'm here.
Mm.
All right, cool, Chad's here. I mean, because they know they're going to get some of my energy. They know I'm going to take care of them. They know I'm going to work the hardest. And I was the hardest working drug dealer that was out there, right? I was open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's that entrepreneurial mindset. How are you going to be able to do this? Uh, you know, there's obviously a supply and demand, and that's what comes with physical therapy. That comes with anything that we have in life. And so I was able to find the demands. I have always been able to find the demand. This is the demand of this new model for physical therapy. I had the demand of taking the dope from Southside and taking it up to Scottsdale. Never once did I thought I'd be using drugs, right? Because again, my body, I've always been in health. I've been in fitness, obviously drinking is just that, but I never thought I'd be doing drugs. Next thing you know, I was with these girls one night and we were at a party and they said, well, can you get me some crack? I'm like, here's some coke. She goes, I don't want to do any coke. That's different. I said, no, it's not different. It's the same stuff. It's just rock form. They took a couple of hits of it. Next thing you know, I took a couple of hits of it and I became a crackhead, right? I was smoking crack. I was doing different things. I was going to play football games. I would smoke crack before we had a full contact men's league that was out here. I would smoke crack before I went to go do the football games. I was a spin instructor, Johnny G, frogs over in Ensenada. I was one of the first spin instructors out here in Arizona to get the certification to do spin classes. I was smoking crack before I went to go do my spin classes, right? Again, energy. And so getting into that was my dark days. The problem was at that point in time, I got so far into it, I didn't even know how to get the hell out of it, right? So I took a break from the physical therapy and the sports performance world. My mom and dad, they took me in. It's kind of like a rehab where I had to do crafts. I've always done crafts, and that's a good artsy thing for my brain to slow it down and to get me to focus on things. So I was rescued. I call it rescued by my parents. They took me into their house. My dad's been a construction guy. So I got back in. I was doing some construction stuff just to kind of get my feet wet back again, working. And I was doing very good. I was doing very good. The problem was in Arizona, I was doing road construction and it gets a little bit too hot in the summertime. So they sent me to Oakland, California to go do some work. Mind you, I just got done smoking crack. Every kid listened to Too Short, Oakland, California, home of the rock. Next thing you know, I was there for about 2 days. I went down to the local OG sitting behind the brake station and I asked him if he could score me any crack. Next thing you know, I found it there. So that's when I found out that in order to make a change or to be able to become who you want to be or to even have what you want to have, it's all about the environment, right? I was relocated. I went to a different place, but environment is not the place. Environment is the people that you're around, right?
Mm.
And so that was the thing that changed me is I had to be around good people. So I stopped hanging around the people that were going to, the strippers, the clubs, and I stopped hanging around all that. I went back to my high school friends. I was hanging out with them. I was trading again. I was doing good stuff. I was working for a water company selling water, which was part of my gym. And then my friends I had from high school, again, I thought they were my good environments, but they were doing some illegal activity back and forth between here and Hawaii. I went over to Hawaii to bring back some money. Everybody wants to go to Hawaii. I got a nice little trip to go over there. I brought back some money, and then 3 months later, I had the feds, DEA, and everybody at my door. And that started my second life.
Were
But
you
again,
selling when you went to Hawaii? Is that what you're referencing?
I was not. Yeah, I was. I said there was drugs that were going back from Arizona to Hawaii. Yes, there was drugs going back, but they got to be so big that the Hawaiians were sending people back to the mainland with money. But it got to be so much that they couldn't get the money back. So we started sending people from Arizona to go to Hawaii. I was one of them. Brought back some money, and the next thing you know, 3 months later, they were under investigation. They already had everything going with the feds in Hawaii. And 3 months later, they came breaking down my door. Oh
Wow.
shit!
What
Right?
what island was that on?
Oahu. Yep,
Oh,
Oahu.
okay.
Yep. And
Yeah,
it was getting dispersed to all the other islands too. Yeah.
got it. Drug culture in Hawaii is pretty big. I
Huge,
think the
huge.
fentanyl, and obviously once
Yep.
it gets on the island and gets into the communities with the young kids,
Yep.
it becomes cultural in that surf culture. And a lot of kids get stuck in it. I've been a part of the Ultimate Hawaiian Trail Run before that helps steer kids away from that type of stuff.
Yes.
And I did not realize until being a part of that event that the drug culture over there is so prevalent.
We had 52 on my indictment. There was only 3 of us from Arizona, and the other 49 were from Hawaii. And then that's when I got sentenced. The last thing that I told the judge, when I had to read my sentencing letter, is I said that I'm sorry for all the kids that I hurt. Right? It wasn't the people, it wasn't the adults. It was the kids because of whether taking their mom and dad away, they got incarcerated, or the drug money that they spent to go buy more drugs. They couldn't buy the kids the food that we were talking about earlier. They couldn't take them to play sports or whatever it was, or they just gave them the iPad so they can go do their dealing. It wasn't about the adults. The adults had the choice to make, right? The kids don't have the choice to make. And so that's when, right then, when I was talking to the judge, I said, you know what? This is something I apologize, and I want to say sorry to all the kids' life that I hurt. And that's what I do now with Move, is that we take a lot of these young kids, and I'm going to give them everything that they haven't had. And I want to build a good foundation for them at a young age so that they can grow into be the person that they want to be, even if it's through some types of obstacles that we hit. I always, one of my analogies that I use is that the buffalo, right? When a storm is coming, every animal is going to run from the storm, right? The buffalo is the only animal that turns around and faces the storm head on, right? As everybody's still running from the storm, you're going to be in that storm until it passes you. The buffalo, they got sunny days tomorrow. So for me in life, I tell these kids here, if there's a storm coming, don't run from it. Turn right into it and face it. Because I ran a bunch because I never thought I could get caught. Right? I kept on going. That storm chased me. Shit, I was in trouble for, I think there was a period of 14 to 17 years of my life. I was on probation, violating probation, because I didn't look at it as a goal. Probation is a goal. That's all it is. If you got a 3-year probation, they're giving you a 3-year goal or a 3-year plan to accomplish. That's all it is. But I wasn't looking at it as a goal. I was looking at it as, fuck this, I already done my time. Oh, you can't tell me what I got to do. I'm an adult. I can make my own choices. That's not true. They're there to help you. Just like with us traders, we put you on a program because we're here to guide you. And that's all it was. But again, it's perspective, right? What do you want to do and how do you see it? At the time there, I thought like I was just having fun and getting in trouble for doing stupid shit. I got on probation. That's okay. You can do that. But again, you should have looked at it like that was your wake-up call. And I didn't. I didn't look at my wake-up call. It could be with food. People should need to look at food as it's a wake-up call, but they don't see it in that. So you have to change your perspective on life or whatever event you're trying